Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris Man, and as always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. I seen something on TV today that made me want to post this kind of video. And I know that nothing stays the same, but there are some things that should stay the same. Respecting one another, being responsible for yourself, being responsible for your children. That should never change. That should never change. Or this 1945 or 2025, because the news story kind of read like this. They trying to get on Peloton and Peloton's the exercise bike commercial or exercise machine company equipment, and they trying to, I guess, drum up a lawsuit against them for children's safety because some person had and I think one child died, unfortunately, but some person had video, or I guess camera monitored their kids in another room, and their kids was playing on the treadmill, which they had no business, and the treadmill was going, and one of the little kids crawled up under there, and the belt kind of sucked them up under there, and they trying to make it seem like Peloton's at fault, when in actuality you gotta watch your damn kids. You got to watch your kids. You can't leave them unsupervised. When I was growing up, and I know some things do change, unfortunately, they shouldn't. We couldn't go across the street without adult supervision. There was always somebody sitting on the porch watching the kids. Now you see these little kids unsupervised because God knows where the parents at. You're so fucking busy that you can't watch your kids. I was watching, again, another news story, little girl in her big backyard, and they live in an environment where there are wild animals, bobcats running around, and the bobcat came into the backyard, and the little kid was in there by herself staring at the bobcat, and the bobcat stared at her, and the bobcat decided to leave. And I'm saying to myself, I don't care if you put your kids in your yard or in the front, some adult has to be there watching them. Because again, when I was a child, when I was younger and my daughter was small, sometimes we would go to the show when, her mom was at work, because her mom worked Saturdays. And we're at the show, and when we let out for the show, my daughter, of course, has to, relieve herself. So I would take my daughter into the men's stall with me. And what I did was, and I encourage all you adults, parents who have young children, go to your local police department, because I'm sure they still provide this service where you get a little ID for your child, a little ID. To this day, I still have that ID of my daughter when she was about maybe 9 years old in my wallet. My daughter's a grown woman now. She lives in another state. She's grown. She's gone. But I just keep that as a memento. And back then, I had it for that reason, to prove, first of all, this is my child. I'm not abducting the little girl and taking her into a bathroom. I showed the car. I'm like, this is my daughter. Here's my ID. Here's hers. We got the same last name, But we got to get back to being responsible. And what made me upset about that news story, that they're trying to blame someone or something that shouldn't be blamed, the exercise and bike equipment company, instead of the people that are not watching their children. You got to really watch your children. You can't send them off to another room or out in the yard and you somewhere in the house, doing something else. Because what's more important than you making sure that your kids are safe? And that makes me mad when I see stuff like that, especially now when they're trying to blame somebody else. Like, we need to put the blame where the blame should be, and that's these trifling ass parents that are not watching their children. Before the pandemic kicked in, I would go to the barbershop early in the morning because I like to be the first one, in. Because when it comes to business, like when I, ship you guys stuff off, I try to be the first dude there at 8:30, about 8:10, waiting for 8:30 to be let in, handle my business, be gone. So I get to the barbershop early in the morning, and I'm sitting in the chair, and I see these little kids taking these even smaller kids to school. And me and the barber, who's around the same age, we talk about this. It's like, where are the parents? Where's the adult that's taking these kids to school? Instead of now, the new thing is the oldest child, which is still a child, and I stress that word, child, is responsible for their smaller siblings. which is ridiculous because when we were kids, who was responsible for all of us? Mama, daddy, not my big brother or my big sister, because they're kids too. Now they delegating this responsibility to these other children, the older children, just who's usually no more than about a year or two older than the smaller child. Now they're forced to be responsible for their brother and their sister, which is again some bullshit. You need to be the parent you need to be. And you need to watch all your children instead of, again, I'm going to push this responsibility off on the oldest who's no more than a year or two older than the smaller one. We got to stop this nonsense. That's why our kids are getting abducted and whatever, because these grown-ass parents, if you want to call them that, are not doing their fucking job. Because, again, I'm going to sign off now, but I thought I felt the obligation to say this because it's true. Watch your kids. Don't send them in a room unsupervised with mechanical operating stuff. Stuff that can move, stuff that can fall, Because when I seen that little baby getting sucked up under that treadmill, I'm like, it's not Peloton's fault. It's the people in the other room that ain't watching these children. And now they want to try to blame somebody else and sue somebody else for their inability and responsibility to take care of their children. Watch your damn kids. And on that, I'm signing off. Till next time, take care. I'm disgusted.